Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode. Today, we're going to be talking about alchemy, becoming the alchemist of your life. And this comes up a lot in my conversations with people on the internet and in my own real life. And of course, with the clients inside the Love Radical Academy, because we're all doing this transformational work of turning hard times into something beautiful, which is the definition of alchemy. And so, before we get into a few powerful ways that you can start being the alchemist of your own life, let's talk about what alchemy is. So, if we look at the definition of alchemy, it is a medieval roots, it's chemistry, it's transmutation, and it's attempts to convert things like metals into gold or to find the universal elixir for life. It's a seemingly magical process of transformation and creation, or combining things to turn them into something better. It's a process of taking something unwanted and transforming it into something wanted. And hopefully, most of you who have followed for a while know that we usually start working out what we want by first learning all the things that we don't want. And this is why even a traumatic childhood gets to be your greatest gift for those who choose to see it that way. Hi to majority of the people that I've worked with throughout the years. You guys are the OGs. You are incredible. This is how a horrible breakup, or the guy that ghosted you or betrayed you, or the family member that you lost, or the investment that didn't work out can actually be the way that we work out what we do want, so that we can actually start creating it and finding it and cultivating it in our reality. But how much of the time do we actually spend actively doing this? Or are we spending more time complaining about what went wrong, or talking to all our friends about all the things that didn't work out? Probably repeating similar situations because we're so focused on the unwanted thing that our reticular activating system, our brain, our beautiful part of ourselves that's just trying to keep us safe, keeps finding and co-creating the same outcomes over and over again to keep us safe in familiar territory. So if you're a person wanting more of the wanted, wanting to maybe take the horrible things that have happened and turn them into your own versions of gold, here are some concepts to start working with that will help you get there. A roadmap, as such, a blueprint to follow instead of complaining and moving into more situations unconsciously without having alchemized what's just happened or what happened all that time ago. Number one is both the law of cause and effect and also the concept of cause and effect that is taught in NLP. The universal law of cause and effect is essentially stating that every effect has a definite cause. Likewise, every cause, there's a definite effect. Your thoughts, your behaviors, and actions. I'm going to repeat that. Your thoughts, your behaviors, your actions create specific effects that manifest and create life as you know it. If you're not happy with the effects that you have created, then you must change the causes that created them in the first place, which exist in your thoughts, your behaviors, and your actions. Because life isn't built upon accidents, chance, or luck. We know this now. Each and every decision we have made, and action we have taken, has set events into motion, creating predictable and specific effects that we now experience in our lives. As a consequence, The law of cause and effect brings to light the idea that success can be modeled once we're aware of what we want. The question is, are we actually taking any time to really get clear on what we want out of what we don't want? And are we giving that a lot more time than we've been giving all the rest? Because we get what we focus on, and what we focus on will grow. In short, the law states that there are no accidents in this world, that the effects we create in our lives are a direct result of causes that come from within ourselves. We're experiencing life as we know it because of the learned, I'll say it again, learned and conditioned psychological patterns that we have pre-programmed in our minds over a lifetime of free choice. Now, we may not have control over what we were programmed with, over what we were imprinted with by the people around us in those first 7 or 8 years when we were in our hypnotic states, absorbing everything like a sponge, learning how to feel, learning how to work, move, learning how to speak, learning how to react or not. We can't change where it started. And our free choice moving from those programs has probably created situation after experience after situation again to go, oh yeah, this is just what happens. This is just how life is. Things just suck. Things might never change. And we've probably built up a bit of proof for ourselves that this is just how it's going to be. Except free choice can also change. This psychological programming is filtering our experience of our reality in a very biased and very predictable manner. And it's creating and interpreting our own existence, our own reality in front of our eyes. The law of cause and effect does, however, provide a solution for this predicament as well. And it states that free choice, the way that you've been moving, yes, from your unconscious programs that were programmed into you during imprint period, it was free choice. And now you're getting to make new choices to build new programs. And it can be done at any time. It's never too late to turn it around. No matter how sucky our circumstances, no matter how dark things might have become or how unlucky we think we might be, free choice literally means that we can make a different choice. We can choose to take the time to unlearn what we've learned that is not working for us. What it takes to change this can be so simple, and it takes time. But the question is, how bad do you want what is wanted? Great questions to ask are, how did my behavior, looking at a situation that might have happened in the past, how did my behavior aid in causing the unwanted thing that occurred? Did I expect without communicating? Did I not read the small print? Did I allow bad behavior to go on without communicating a boundary? Standing up for myself, even if it was scary? Did I avoid having a scary or difficult conversation? What comes up for you when you look at unwanted experiences in your life and ask this question? How did I aid in causing that outcome? There will always be something. Now, side note, as it pertains to childhood trauma, because I know there'll be some people in the comments who are like, yeah, but what about childhood trauma? You didn't have a choice then. Yeah, I get it. Of course, you might not have been able to make different choices then. However, you can now. And also, we're usually never actually upset now about the thing that happened in childhood. What we're upset about is how it's impacting and creating new situations that are unwanted in our life today. So use this practice on current events or recent events, not the ones where you had no awareness or tools to do anything differently. Number 2, everyone is doing the best they can with the resources they have, including you. This can be hard to hear And yet it will be one of the most transformational tools that you ever choose to adopt into your life. Let's go through a few examples. Look at our parents. Now, we talk about this inside the Academy all the time because I have a lot of parents in that space. And there's a lot of rules for parenting now that are coming into play. There's a lot of what should be done and what shouldn't be done. There's a lot of this is the right way to parent and this is the wrong way to parent. There is a lot of our parents did it all wrong and they hurt us and they screwed us over narrative happening in the world. And yet, to this day, we do not have a set rule book at all and never have for being a parent. We look back to our parents and they didn't have the access to the internet, probably didn't have much support around them in community, were the children of people from wartime. So they didn't have any emotional awareness and they were having lots of kids and building homes and working 9 to 5s and doing the best they can with the resources they had. Only now that we're accessing the world's information, more information in one day sometimes than people used to access in their whole lifetime. We now have all this information and awareness that things can be better and different and we can do things different ways and learn different things and try different things and model new behavior. But our parents had none of that. They had no idea. They were moving through their own lives with tons of trauma of their own in any way, shape, or form that was, feeling all of that and having to push it down so that they could raise children and build homes and build the society that we have today, that we are in this incredible abundance of having access to the world's information, having access to ways to make money in so many different ways, having access to so much health support. Like, it is insane, the abundance of today when you really start to look at it, right? And so, first of all, the narrative that anyone from your childhood did things that were bad or wrong. Yes, they might have been horrible and horrific. I've worked with some people who have been through things that I could never even conceptualize. And I've had a hard time. And yet they are the people who are alchemizing gold in their life in every way, shape, or form because they choose, like me, to realize that everyone's doing the best they can with the resources they had. If we go back even further, we think about our grandparents or our great-grandparents. No rule books, maybe little support, war going on, trying to figure out what the frick to do then. Also carrying generations of trauma with them and having no tools or support or groups on the internet to join and yell and scream and hate on others for doing them wrong. They did the best they could with the resources they had. Here's a touchy one, your ex. If we start to look at our exes instead of how dare they should have known, yeah, that would be nice, except that didn't work out that way. So instead of hating them for how they moved, how can we simply drop into they were doing the best they could with the programs they had? And the interesting thing with relationships, the biggest thing that causes breakdowns in relationships isn't infidelity. It isn't money. It's uncommunicated expectations, because no one, or most people, have never really thought about what their expectations of relationship are and how they might differ from the person they're in partnership with. If one person grew up with parents who stayed together, whether it was good, bad, or ugly, they might have an imprint of no matter what happens, we come back together. We figure it out. We nut through it. And so that person's moving in that way. They get with a person who was abandoned in childhood, whose parent never came back, and it was awful and hard. They're expecting that if their partner even disappears for a day, that they've been abandoned. These expectations that we may not have even recognized in ourselves, if uncommunicated with a partner, is going to cause breakdown. And that's just one example of millions. So instead of looking at exes or people who have hurt you in the context of relationships in the past, can you recognize that maybe neither of you had very good tools, if any, and you were moving unconsciously from your own programs, doing things automatically, maybe in a way that didn't create the outcome that you wanted. So now you get to take that, extract the wisdom, change the way you move so that you can cultivate what you really want. And the last piece of number 2 is yourself. A lot of the time, the women that I work with and the people that I've worked with over the years, and myself, as we learn more and more tools and we come into more and more awareness of, oh my God, this is how I can change and the results that I get when I do change. Oh my goodness, how cool is it becoming? But also then we look back at maybe a past relationship or our family and go, why couldn't I have known this then? This could have been different. This could have been saved. This could have been better if I had known this then. And of course, we can't go back. And so such a powerful piece of this process is compassion and forgiveness for yourself and the other for doing the best that you could with the resources you had at the time. And on the back of this, whether we want to admit it or not, every single one of us is moving from a highest intention, either for ourselves or for everyone involved, even if it's coming from a deemed by society now unhealthy way. Yes, even the worst people on earth are in programs and moving unconsciously and doing what they're doing to try and get maybe safety or control to feel safe, or maybe even their own warped imprint of love or connection. Even the worst people amongst us are actually just trying to find their highest intention for themselves and even others. It's just different to maybe what we've come to know as better. Can you look at the people who hurt you as just scared children like you are, really, with potentially really crappy programming, perhaps, compared to yours, who are navigating life the best way they have learned to this point? And perhaps, and absolutely, actually, if they didn't behave and show up in the potentially awful way that they did, you wouldn't have the chance to be the alchemist, to change the parts of you that co-created it, to get everything you actually want. Moving towards compassion, forgiveness, and dare I say it, gratitude for them in time. In time. In time is the key here. Not because they deserve it, but because you do. If you can choose to lean into that, it will be life-changing. Not only from an emotional and brain rewiring, reprogramming perspective, but for your own soul, your own self-love. I don't know if you know this about your unconscious mind, but it doesn't separate you from others. And it actually takes everything that you think or say personally. This is also reflected in the law of divine oneness, that we're all connected. So hating someone else registers as hate of self. It ain't doing you any favors, right? So what could happen if you chose to create the support beneath you and around you so that you could start to move towards compassion, forgiveness, and gratitude, even for the things that hurt you, because you chose to extract the learnings, to recognize where you could change from it, so you could realize that it needed to happen so you could get everything you want. Number 3, Number 3 is the fun one. We've had the heavy hitting ones. Start assessing the unwanted. It probably won't take you too long. Most people can write me a 3-page essay of everything that's unwanted in 10 minutes. We usually know it that well. And then I want you to start designing the wanted, which might take a little longer. Most people, when I ask them what they actually want, will give me a 1-word answer. If I press to get more specifics, more detail, maybe I'll get a 3-word answer. Another thing about your unconscious mind, it needs direction and repetition. It needs specifics to be able to find its way to it. Your reticular activating system in your brain needs you to be focusing on the specifics of where you want to go so that it can actually see it. The brain is actually taking in, well, we're constantly taking in like 1 billion bits of data from our reality per minute, something along those lines. And yet we consciously only register about 50 of those. Now, what determines the 50 specific bits of information that we take from the billion? What you're focusing on. And so if you can write me an essay about everything that's unwanted, but you cannot write me an essay about everything that you want in like beautiful, descriptive, specific detail, we found the core of the problem. So a couple of ways to start building out your wanted design. Let's go into specifics. What do you want to think and feel when you open your eyes in the morning? Like, go big or go home on this. Part of the purpose of getting specific about where you'd like to go is to break through all the resistance that's going to come up when you start doing this. Start asking questions like, how do you want to work in this world? What do you want that to feel like and look like? What do you want your friendships to be like? Go deep into specifics. This is how I cultivated some of the most beautiful friendships after years and years and years of struggling with friendship. What about the milestone moments in relationships? Can you describe those in great detail? Can you describe an argument that you have with your partner that goes beautifully, where you know how to communicate in a new way and you come to a resolution? Can you describe parenting, the good, the bad, and the ugly moments in detail? Can you describe how you travel together? Can you describe how you make a home together? What does your health look like? What does your body look and feel like, ideally? When you're getting into specifics, usually what will happen is you'll get a few words down. Then I want you to keep asking, how could I get even more specific than this? And more specific and more detailed. Start thinking about it on a visceral level, on a sensory level. Utilize all the things that you might see, smell, hear, taste, touch. Getting as specific and detailed as you can about the future that you'd like to go towards without adding in maybe names or faces, because it's best to avoid that. What will happen when you start doing this is there might be little voices in your head that go, yeah, but that's not possible. You tried that and it didn't work. Oh, you went towards that and you got so disappointed. Don't go there. This is the point. Not only are we getting specific so that your brain can actually start finding the pathways there, and it will, but we're also recognizing your own favorite flavors of resistance to it being possible so that we can challenge those, so we can change those stories, so that we can build new ones, so that they come into union to get you there together. Then we want to look at the behaviors of the person who has that life. How would you think and feel and talk and act differently if you had all of those specifics already done? Would you be doing the same things you do today? Would you be thinking the same things over and over? Would you be having the same conversations with your best friend or your mom or the people at work? Would you be doing the same thing with your health? Would you be avoiding certain things that you know could create change? Would you be making excuses instead of just going for it and figuring it out? What are the things you're doing now day to day that will not get you there? And you know it. You always know it. What's the definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So what are the things that you seem to be doing over and over and over again, expecting or waiting for some magical different result? What if you flipped so many of your behaviors on their head for a while just to figure it out for fun? Watch what happens. And here's the kicker. You got to know that your mind is going to be so against you changing your behaviors. It's going to be so against you even going into specifics, to changing your story, to changing the way that you think or the way you feel. Because your brain doesn't actually know the difference. It doesn't know that you're trying to head towards joy and happiness and peace. It has no idea. Your mind will actually go so far as to see any changes that you're making as life-threatening. It will come up with a million convincing stories super quick as to why you should just stay the same, stay in bed, stay in these behaviors that you've been doing over and over again. Oh, and a lot of our victim-minded society will also encourage you to stay the same as well and tell you that other people should change for you to feel better and get better. Except if you do that, you'll be waiting the rest of your life. So the question is, both are hard. What hard will you pick? Never changing the current unwanted and continuing to do things and just hope for a better result will mean it will keep getting worse. It's hard, right? Or maybe a few years of challenging and changing some usually pretty simple behaviors, going against your mind's comfort zone to get the life that you actually want, or at least halfway there. That's hard. Pick your heart. You get to choose, and it's never too late to start or start again. The beautiful thing about your brain and your programs is they just need to start knowing the way and used to be repeating it over and over and over again until that becomes more familiar to your brain than the problem story of the past. Side note, this process is so much easier when we create some kind of solid foundation and clarity in our mind to do so. So get your ducks in a row. Look at your health. Look at the basics. Look at how you're spending or organizing your money or even thinking about your money. Look at how's the relationships going. What could be improved on so that there's more space for you to do this work? Look at your environments. Are there people or things that you're hanging out around that's not conducive to where you want to go? It's okay to step back and create some space for you to do this. How's your day-to-day self-care? Are your hormones balanced? Oh my goodness, I cannot stress how powerful that one step is. And it can be so simple, like just to get rid of things like alcohol or substances or any unneeded medications, drinking filtered water, eating alive food, exercising every day, doing some kind of relaxation process for your mind so that you're not releasing as many stress hormones and chemicals. When you start to create this foundation beneath you and around you it makes it so much easier to create the foundation within you, which is why I created that very support and then everything that comes after, including working with your own favorite flavors of resistance inside the Lovely Radical Academy. Because here's the thing. If we do not choose to turn pain into some kind of purpose, to alchemize it, it'll be nothing but wasted pain that then acts as an ongoing poison in our lives. You get to choose to be the alchemist. You get to start right now. Cause and effect, compassion, specifics, and transformation. Look, it's just a better way to spend your day than always catastrophizing or crying over what's already happened. Let's turn it into gold instead. And as always, thank you for being here and doing this work. It ripples through the world, and it will be the foundations that hold you through anything that this life throws at you. I'll see you next time.